Can edit that one.
Oh, no, that's staying in. Welcome back to another episode of the Shape Up Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Dustin. This is your co-host, Jimmy. Say hi, Jimmy.
Hey.
And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the importance of mobility and how it can differ from flexibility. So let's dive in.
Mm-hmm. What would you say the difference is between the two?
Well, flexibility is more widely known as the ability to, say, touch your toes, right? The ability to sort of stretch your muscles in the direction that they're actually supposed to stretch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
like a range of movement or is that the wrong way of kind of saying it?
I would say probably a good way of saying it is like the distance.
Okay.
The distance you can move. So the ability to touch your toes or reach the center of your back, and that kind of thing is more consistent with the term of flexibility.
Yeah. So it's the distance in which you can perform that stretch.
Yes. Yeah? And then mobility is the ability to actually move in a full range of motion.
Right.
And here's the key part. The ability to move in a full range of motion under load. Right?
Okay.
So the ability to do it whilst lifting a weight. Some level of weight. You could argue that includes body weight.
Sure, yeah.
But the way I see it is that really actually includes like the ability to lift something and still be able to move in a safe, full range of motion. Take a barbell back squat, for example. If you can get a weight on your back and go all the way down into a full range of motion in a barbell back squat, that is a good sign of good mobility in your hips.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to do a full range of motion deadlift, right? Could indicate a good range of motion in your lower back.
Yeah. Would you say that with mobility comes like more efficient performances in the gym? Because
yes,
got that full range of motion, putting the muscles through. Like you said, that full range of mobility. Yeah,
a cool thing to know is that studies have actually proven that someone who practices range of motion, not just flexibility, but mobility in itself, can actually increase their performance by about 10%.
Right.
And this goes for all levels. Some people try to use athletes, like professional athletes, as an example of like why it's not important. You're like, well, this athlete is very much open about how he doesn't even care about mobility. Right, but that athlete, even though he's world class, if he practiced mobility, he would still increase his already exponential skill by up to about 10%.
Yeah, so missed gains.
It's missed gains, especially if you're a professional. 10% can be massive if you're a football player or something.
Where it matters, yeah.
Yeah. And then range of motion has different levels of importance for different age groups as well. So not just for your profession, but regardless of whether you're professional or not, if you're, say, a kid, a young kid, a teenager, range of motion is very important for your overall muscle and skeletal development. If you're a parent and you can encourage your children to practice those range of motion exercises, regardless, maybe for kids it's easier to do it in the level of like a sport, like gymnastics or rock climbing or some sort of martial arts or something. Those sports do tend to have promote good range of motion.
Sure. Yeah.
And mobility.
Yeah, because you're being active. That's right. You lose flexibility or mobility by basically being too stationary. Like by not really moving enough. That's how you would lose that.
Yeah, exactly. And then for another age group, so when you're an adult, an adult anywhere from being 20 to 50 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. The mid-age adult there would benefit in the form of being younger for longer, right? for me, for example, as a 33-year-old dad, having better mobility, which we all know that I don't. I have really bad mobility problems in my hips, which cause lower back issues and knee issues, right? So it all tangles in. And then I have really, really bad shoulder mobility, and it's actually affected the amount of weight. Like you know firsthand that I've had to drop my bench press weight because of my shoulder, right? I used to bench the 225 as my base weight. Now my base weight is 185 to 205, right? And I haven't gone past 205 in a really long time because my shoulder is so bad.
Yeah, well, I suppose you've got to remember, like in that lower back region, you've got all the nerves basically coming into that area, you know, down the spine, up the legs, you know, they all kind of like congregate in that area. So it's a very sensitive area, you know. If you've got anything going on, you can have a lot of things that like will then stem from that area in, like you said, in the knee perhaps, right?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, so having good flexibility and mobility will prevent those types of pains. And a lot of people will be like, oh, my knee hurts, I got knee problems. But that might not be the case. You might have a hip problem.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right? And some people just think that's crazy. If I had a hip problem, I'd have hip pain. But no. They interchange with each other.
Yeah.
You could have hip problems that cause knee issues, lower back issues, and hip issues. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm only really just getting into this, you know, but, you know, like I started out with nutrition, right? Then I got into the fitness side of things with you.
Yeah.
And kind of considering those like your fundamental foundational pillars, if you kind of think of them like that.
Yeah.
You know, when you're trying to build like a routine and daily habits and, you know, you kind of think of it, what's your core sort of pillars? It would be, okay, fitness, nutrition, but mobility and flexibility is one I completely left out, you know, and like a personal story, like just started the bulk, like a couple months ago or something like that. And, you know, I do deliveries of them, like cases, like about 65, 70 pounds for my, you know, career job. And I was loading the vehicle and I just loaded it a different way this time, right? But it basically forced me to put the weight away from my body, and I didn't really think about it. And
because you're in the motion.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's funny. I was actually thinking about it, like going, no, I got to hold the weight, nice and slow, controlled. You know, like just applying in the gym, like kind of to my daily. You know, I want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of every movement. It's that control the weight, don't lug it. You know, and just tweaked something in my back, and I think it was on the lower right side. You know, and I was absolutely out, you know, I think it was like 24 hours later, like I just was completely out. And that was on the Friday, and like on the Saturday morning, I could barely get up.
I know,
I
because
could literally barely walk. I mean, that's how like crucial, you know, like when something like this goes, it can happen, you know. So
yeah, it is. It makes a big difference, you know. Like, and you got to watch out for those things because, like you said, close to center of mass, and then the further you get away from the center of mass, the weight is held a lot differently.
On that, a lot of strain on the lower back, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, long story short, I ended up having to go to the chiropractor that has been slowly realigning me. I didn't realize like how out of like alignment I was, because I mean, I haven't really put any thought into like, you know, mobility or flexibility or anything like that. You know, you do a little stretch here and there, but you kind of have to be a bit more consistent than that. And it has made a big difference. And I would say, although it's minor, like my squats, my barbell back squats, like I've fortunately, you know, like been able to go to the chiropractor and be able to walk again. But, you know, like being able to actually squat right down and feel straight, you know, or feel in line and get really deep into that squat. You know,
getting late, I yawned, but it was like a silent yawn. Just a slight.
Am I that bad?
No, I've actually been trying not to yawn like all day.
Yeah,
sleep's hard sometimes.
Happens.
But yeah,
you're right. You know, to your point.
Yeah, it plays a big role, and it's a role that is not taken seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
And when people think of mobility, they do tend to think more along the lines of like static stretching.
Stretches, yeah, for sure.
Right? And that is important, don't get me wrong. That definitely plays a role in the elasticity of the muscles. The muscles need to have a level of elasticity.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me a really cool point about actual like static stretches are almost better for when you just before going to bed, or like literally after the workout, is to kind of draw. I don't know if you can explain it, but like what happens with it. But
when you squeeze the muscles like that, you're stretching them out. Mm-hmm. Two things happen. Thing number one is you're actually forcing your muscles into a rest state.
Right. Yeah.
And
relaxing them, right?
What tends to happen, so when you do the exercise, this is why it's important to do them after you do a workout. When you do the workout, your muscles get the oxygen and the fuel that they need via the blood that's going to the muscles. So what happens is this thing called blood pooling, right? So your blood like if you're doing barbell back squats, you're going to get some. This is where the pump comes from. That famous pump is that your muscles look swoller. They look bigger. They look swole, and that's because the blood is pumping to your muscles, and it pools there. So after the workout, when you do a cool down, some people like to go for a walk on a treadmill or walk outside. Mm-hmm. But if you do a static stretch, it's like you're squeezing the blood and you're forcing it to kind of flow through the muscles, and it's a lot like if you were to take a towel and a dry towel is a lot weaker than a wet towel. So you get a towel that's wet, it's a lot stronger, right? Because it's got the water pooled in it. Same kind of concept with your muscles. They tend to be a lot stronger because they got the blood pool into them. And then when you stretch, it's kind of like wringing the towel out, right? You wring the towel out and the water's obviously squeezed out of it. Same concept.
Why are you going to want to do that in that context?
It can reduce the amount of fatigue and pain that you feel the next few days, right? Because if you just leave it, the blood will stay there for a while, and it can reduce the amount that the lactic acid is kind of removed.
Sure.
Right? The pain you feel for the following days actually has very little to do with the lactic acid, but it does play a pretty small role. So if you stretch, it does kind of flushes all that used material, the byproduct of the exercise, just kind of flushes it out.
Yeah, kind of cycles it efficiently and just it starts the recovery process maybe.
It forces your muscles into a relaxed kind of recovery state.
Okay, yeah. There you
right?
go. Yeah.
And that's why you'll hear a lot of trainers say, static stretching, even the next day or whatever, can reduce the pain that you feel.
Yeah.
Most of the pain comes from the tears in the muscles from doing the exercise. That's the whole point of the exercise, is to get those tears, do the damage, tell your muscles, hey,
stimulus.
But how do the muscles get the strength? The blood pools there, gives them the byproduct that it needs. Not the byproduct, the products that it needs. But then a byproduct is created, and then when the blood flushes out, it kind of goes with it. It's a big cycle.
You can, when you start talking about it, you can really see just how important and intertwined it really is. Like, it kind of does have to be one of those, like I said, those foundational pillars that you build from. It just makes complete sense, right?
Yeah, and I totally agree. And now, a sports scientist would probably be able to give you a little bit better terminology versus what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they might be able to break it down a lot better than I can. But the basic idea of it is that when you do the exercise, the blood pools, right? When you've done the exercise, you do a cool down to slow the blood flow to the muscles, and then you do a static stretch to squeeze the blood, flow it through, and get rid of all the byproduct from the exercise out of your muscles. That will reduce fatigue and pain for the next couple of days. And then it puts your muscles into a relaxed state, which is why I actually recommend people do a static stretch before bed, because it can actually help you sleep.
Yeah. So I remember you telling me that, and I need to try and remember to do it, but like actively, and I'm trying to build like a bit more of a routine. I think we'll try and get into that like in the next few minutes here, just listeners, viewers, about how to piece it together. But it's really important.
Yeah, I think it is super important, and which is super hypocritical of me, because I have not been doing mobility work, and my knowledge on mobility exercises is not super high, right? And I'm just being honest with everybody. my knowledge I got a lot of knowledge for weightlifting and a bunch of different exercises, but the best form of mobility. So I've been doing a lot of research the last few days on how to really do, because when I was one of the people that was kind of like, well, if I want mobility, I gotta strengthen that elasticity in the muscles, right? Which, if overdone, can actually be a hindrance, which I'll touch base on in a second here. But as I dived into it more, because it didn't really make sense to me, I'm like, well, that's just flexibility. How do I work on mobility? Mobility would be doing actual exercises with a little bit of a lighter weight and focusing on forcing that range of motion. For example, for my shoulders, to get, it wouldn't just be doing shoulder stretches. It'd be doing, what's the proper term for this exercise? It's like a shoulder opener. So you have your arm on the side, and you lie down flat on your side, and then you have a weight in your hand, and then you open like this. And see, as you can see right here, that's as far as I can go, right? And like that's flat, like that. That's as far as I can go. So this will be an exercise that I do. Unfortunately, I can't remember the actual. I'm calling it a shoulder opener, but it's not.
Okay,
that's not what it's called.
Yeah,
I'm sure if you Googled it, you would feel the name.
But like you could get like these weighted clubs. I've seen where you kind of go.
Yes,
through a
that's
range
another
of,
one. That's
you know,
yeah. You go
a
over.
little bit of resistance.
Yeah,
there's
you
like
go over and you come down.
A little bit of a routine that you would follow.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But just for like the listeners and viewers, like how would you piece together? You know, like because it can kind of sound overwhelming. You're like, Jesus Christ, like not another like bloody foundational pillar I got to now build from and have a dig.
Routine, it adds on to it, right?
So you kind of incorporate it with what you're doing, I would imagine. But like for me personally, I'm gonna try and have like even just 5 to 10 minute like little morning routine just as I wake up. Like have a few key stretches that I go through. You know, that can really help.
That's a really good way of doing it. Okay, for a couple reasons. Reason number one, that would get you doing the exercises. Most people probably have a good 5 to 10 minutes to do some dynamic movements. And dynamic movements are really, really good. Dynamic movements being very similar to static stretching, but instead of holding a stretch, you're kind of moving.
Yeah.
You go, hold it for a second, come back. You go, hold it for a second, come back, right? So that kind of movement will actually be really good for your mobility, especially if you're actually pushing the limit, right? So you kind of want to do the movement to a point where you're like, yeah, that's a stretch, and then be done. And then go, that's a stretch, and come done. Yeah. Don't just do the movement for doing the movement. So it's good in the sense that it's going to get you to do the exercises. So and like it's going to get your body ready for the day, man.
Yeah. So you think like a 5 to 10 minute little window in the morning would just be a great place to kind of start, you feel?
I think that would be a good spot to put it in there.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people who are really busy in the morning are like, man, how many 10-minute things do you expect me to fit in the morning? Because there's so much out there for fitness influencers, and that's the answer to everything. Well, it only takes 10 minutes in the morning to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you do 5 of those, that's not 10 minutes, that's an hour.
Yeah, but I mean,
right?
just like giving yourself that, okay, 5 minutes, I'm going to do one movement, I'm going to do, X amount of minutes, and that's like a non-negotiable, making it a non-negotiable, but like, just because it's so important.
Yeah.
Like having that, like,
viewpoint
on it.
I'm very interested in trying to put together a kind of like an ultimate routine that kind of fits all of these aspects. If you're able to get away with doing 3 weight training sessions in the week, maybe try having, and like because there's a lot of people like, well, I can do 4 to 5 days of a workout routine. Okay, well, why not do 3 days of exercise, of weight training, instead of a 4th day of weight training, add a mobility day. It'll be a shorter, it'll be a little shorter, but you're going to be doing things like, barbell back squat, overhead press, just all with light weight.
So a specific day for,
just for mobility. You're not lifting heavy.
Yeah.
You're lifting lightweight, and all you're doing is you're focusing on getting form and pushing your range of motion to the absolute limit that you can.
Yeah.
Right? So, like I said, barbell back squat.
That would be really drilling into it,
Yeah, the shoulder openers. You know what, guys? I am going to figure out what the name of that exercise is.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I actually know what the name is, but can't remember it. So I'm going to look it up and I'll be like, that's right. Sweet. If only I could remember so I didn't look like an idiot on the podcast.
That's why you got to have a little...
Yeah, I know. I would have... Having notes would have been good, but in all honesty, I wasn't expecting to forget the name of the exercise.
Yeah. I mean, something's better than nothing, right?
Something is better than nothing.
It's
super
really,
important.
If like an extra day you feel dedicated to mobility might be too much of a stretch to start at, like just doing something like daily. Because I remember reading like a good point. It's 5 to 10 minutes every single day is better than 1 hour a week.
Yes.
Right. So.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of my upcoming trainer tips on the TikTok. So stay tuned.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's perfect. If you're bringing it up on your own, when I bring it up on the TikTok as a trainer tip of the day, people will be like, yeah.
Yeah.
That means it's true. I'm not just making this crap up. Okay? Somebody who knows more than me said it before me, so I'm going to re-say it so I watched what the other person who knows more than me said.
Yeah. But this is new. This is new for me. I mean, like as we go along these podcast episodes, it's kind of cool, like building a bit of a relationship with the viewers, listeners, because it really is like a starting place for us. And so,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm not new to the realm of mobility because it is a part of like the fitness trainer program that I did, but I don't practice it. It's very much do as I say, not as I do kind of moment. Very much like we were talking about the lateral raises the other day.
Oh boy.
Right? That is very much a perfect example of do as I say, not as I do. Right? Because when I do my lateral raises, for context here, when I do my lateral raises, I add a shoulder shrug at the end of the lateral raise. So instead of just going like this, I go like this and I shrug, right? Is that bad? No, not necessarily. But I wouldn't tell somebody else to do that because I only do that way because I like it. But that extra movement, it does, like I said with the other exercise, it does take away from energy towards the side delts, which is obviously the target muscle. I just like to do it that way.
Sure. That's a good way of saying it, yeah.
And mobility is kind of the same concept. Do as I say, not as I do, because I have not been doing my mobility, and it shows. Like, look, you should be able to get your arms parallel.
What do you mean by that? You just
like my arms should be able to go parallel flat.
Like out.
Like out to the side. It should be like a wing, and this is literally. Yeah. And not just because the wall's in the way.
Mine's pretty poor too, right?
So, here's a good concept of how a mobility workout can affect the rest of a certain area. My shoulder pain is all right here, okay? And the reason I have good mobility straight up, right? Like I can move my arm, no problem. The reason I'm having this issue is because there's smaller muscles. Let me turn over. There's smaller muscles back here, okay, that will affect the shoulder's ability to externally rotate. Externally rotate means rotate out. Like that right there, that hurts me. Right? And then internal rotate is essentially if it rotates towards the center of mass, it's and away from the center, So there's small muscles on the back side of the shoulder that play a massive role in the external rotation of your shoulders. Mine are extremely weak and underdeveloped. Right? And that is the reason why I'm having shoulder pain. And I strongly believe that. I've been doing lots of research on the shoulder pains and what the main causes of it are. And it fits everything. Everything that I'm feeling, I need to start doing those exercises. So with the mobility routine that I'm working on putting it together, and when I put a routine together, I'm not just throwing exercises out. The reason my my routine for mobility is not done yet is because I'm actually trying to find exercises that can change not just my life, but other people's lives. Right?
Are you doing like a whole sort of full body mobility, or would you say it may be better to figure out maybe where your weaknesses are and try and target those, or try and have like a full routine that's just going to keep everything going?
I'm going to try doing a full routine, but I'm focusing on the problems that I'm having.
Okay.
Because the problems I'm having are extremely common problems for people to have. Right. I'm definitely not the only one that suffers from them.
Yeah.
Shoulder mobility, hip mobility, back mobility, right?
Yeah.
I suffer from back pain, hip pain, knee pain, and shoulder pain, right? These are all things that I'm suffering from simply because of my lack of mobility.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool in a sense when you think about that it's addressable.
It is totally addressable.
It's actually like really positive.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more.
With the routine that you would put together, like, would you say that, if anybody reaches out on some sort of community group, they've got a good base routine, but they want to focus on a specific like part of the body, you can just adapt and change it a little bit? If you do, you know what I mean? Like, that would be...
Yeah, absolutely. And this mobility routine, I'm actually really thinking about probably just doing... I haven't done any YouTube videos for how to do exercises. I think this mobility one might be the first one. So I will be giving this mobility routine away for free, right? And I'm going to try making some videos of it so that people can hop on YouTube and do it. Just don't... I know that I already know there's people out there going to be laughing at my lack of mobility during the video, but the exercises work, okay? It's going to be relatable, everybody. It's going to be relatable.
Yeah. I'm excited to actually try like a dedicated like workout geared towards mobility.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot similar, very similar to like a weight training routine, because it's going to be just lighter weights.
Yeah.
Take, for example, when you were working on your back squat, you dropped the weight all the way back simply so you could get that full range of motion. Yeah. That's going to be the same concept for the mobility routine. And it's going to have those exercises where I'm not looking for people to get in 1 rep maxes or anything, right? It's for the movement and the range of motion. And I'm going to try doing it with resistance bands and dumbbells. So that's something that people can just have right from home.
And as well, like, I think it would work quite well with a 3-day split. I feel like the majority of people like that may be consuming this content would be in that sort of category, like pretty busy people. You're geared towards, family individuals, that just don't have that much time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a 3-day is like, sometimes like, like for example, today, I was out at like, 6 o'clock, back, got here like 9, and then just came back straight from the workshop, So
yeah, sometimes you're just busy.
Right. Exactly.
I actually finished my workout not too long before you got here.
So I'll push it to tomorrow and I can do that, but you're like...
And here's a good little tidbit for people right now. A lot of people who are doing routines that are over 3 days a week are actually overtraining. And a lot of them would actually see better results if they cut down to a 3-day a week routine.
Yeah.
Right? Someone that's doing 4, 5, 6 days, there's a very good chance that they're overtraining for their body, especially if they're already busy, they're lacking sleep. If they cut it back, focused on their sleep, and instead of doing 4, 5, 6 days of weight training, they did 3 days weight training, 1 day of mobility focused, and then maybe if you're trying to get 5 days of exercise, why not throw in something like a yoga day to work on your balance? Is also something that we could talk about that is very much in line with mobility, right? I'm not saying yoga is great for mobility, but it is really good for balance, right? And why? There's no reason for people to be like, oh, I'm a yoga person, so I do yoga 3 days a week. Or I'm a Pilates person, I do Pilates 3 days a week. I'm a weight training person, so I do weight. They're all important. If you mix it all together, if you did Monday, Wednesday, Friday weight training, Tuesday mobility, Wednesday yoga.
Yeah, sorry, Thursday, you mean?
Sorry, Thursday. Thank you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday sure. as like a yoga day. I think, and in fact, now that I'm talking about it, I'm almost inclined to try and put together the ultimate shape up workout routine.
It does start to sound like it incorporates, everything.
I think you'd be well-rounded
Yeah.
if you did. And I'm not talking physically, because obviously not very many of us want to be round. But
For sure.
The routine, I think, would be very well-rounded. I think you would feel very good.
Yeah, I think if you could make time for that, and it would definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so,
That's what
too.
it's all about, kind of bringing it together, like,
Yeah.
something that actually
I
works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And don't go extreme on one type of exercise, right? Incorporate things that we know put a massive benefit in your lifestyle, right? We know yoga is great for not just balance, but it's actually good for mental health. And I personally believe that that's just because you're taking time to be with yourself. It's quiet, it's calm, you're not distracted by devices. There's usually some calming music, and it's all like breath work and balance work. And I think that it's really good for you to be with yourself, just you, your mind, your body, and just taking care of yourself. I think that's one of the reasons why it's really kind of good for your mental health as well.
Couldn't agree more.
So that covers that, like balance for yoga. I don't know anything really about Pilates, but some
I've
people
heard the term. I don't really necessarily know much about it.
I've never really looked all that much into it.
Yeah. There's actually a Pilates studio just beside the chiropractic clinic. The chiropractor that I go to.
There's one on Station Street here. Did you know that?
There's a bunch of them. I mean,
I didn't. Yeah. It's crazy. They have the craziest looking machines, but I have no.
So machines in there?
Yeah, it's all of them just lined up. They got some like light dumbbells in the back and stuff there.
Right. Okay.
But it's like, I don't know. I got to look it up, man.
Yeah. 100%.
As a fitness trainer, maybe I should probably learn a little bit about Pilates, but I don't really understand it. I don't know what the benefit really of Pilates is.
It would kind of be like just another string to the bow, like you're saying yoga, it's a good day for mobility. Like you can kind of have options, maybe you prefer, Pilates
maybe you prefer Pilates over yoga. I just don't
switch it up every other week. You do a Pilates and then you'll do a yoga, like just kind of keep it fresh or whatever, mix it up. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what a Pilates exercise would look like.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up because the machine.
But it could. Yeah, obviously it'll be a part of what we can talk about and learn about. But
yeah,
it's I've definitely heard, the term, and I just don't know enough, like a lot about it.
I honestly don't know a single Pilates exercise.
Yeah,
and if I do, I don't know it as a Pilates exercise.
Right.
But to kind of get back to the point is that you can have a pretty decent routine that incorporates not just building muscle and getting lean and getting to a good body composition, but to take care of your flexibility, mobility, and
which
balance.
would kind of aid in recovery a little bit.
I think it would aid in not just in recovery, but in longevity. And that's one thing I didn't actually touch on when I was talking about the different age groups is for elderly people, mobility is super important because it helps them stay independent for longer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You could see the difference in, an elderly person that's like 80 something that's taking care of themselves, walking around taking care of themselves still versus someone who's possibly even several years younger than them that hasn't taken care of themselves and they're already like in a care home, they can't walk very well, right? If you take care of yourself now, even for elderly people right now, I don't think it's ever too late to start doing that stuff, you know. Mobility will help you either stay independent for longer or even regain your independence. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really well said.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's all I really had to talk about for mobility in its entirety right there. As a recap, I find it to be very important. It's something that I'm starting to take very seriously because, my shoulder's really bad. Yeah. And that's what got me really diving more into it. And, for example, I've got a hard time picking Liam up, right? Because when I pick something up, like, it hurts. I can lift the weight. I'm strong enough to lift the weight, but it hurts.
But that's super important because there's going to be a bunch of like parents that consume this content, that would be one thing that would really hurt their, you know, their sort of like self-esteem, you know, is like, you know, not being able to, you know, rough house or be able to pick up your kid, or like just being sore even just in that moment, or, you know, so.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to starting the mobility routine, simply because I'm interested to see if it does kind of regain the strength in motion, or the range of motion in my shoulder and stuff. And like I said, it's not that the strength isn't there. I can lift pretty decently heavy weight, but it does hurt. Like, it does take me a second to be like, oh, it's hurting. Okay, just push through the pain.
Yeah.
And then after I get past a certain range, it's like, okay, the pain is kind of gone. But going from like here to like here with a weight, or even from here to here with a weight, it hurts.
Yeah, and that's your body's way of telling you that something's not quite right.
Right? Exactly. You know? Something's just being strained.
It needs to be addressed.
And I do think it's because of the small group of muscles on the back of your shoulder, which some people will be like, well, that doesn't make sense. You're telling me that the pain is in your side delt. Right, but I still have really good motion, and from what I've done, that's like what I've been doing research on all week here, is that the pain here is actually coming from back here. And so I'm really interested to see if doing that stretching really does help. The good.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just, I think it needs to make up, I kind of call them the foundational pillars, you know, essentially fitness, nutrition, and mobility and flexibility really needs to be, I think, would give you a complete base to build from. But like, I mean, key takeaways, like, do something every single day.
Yeah.
Why not? It doesn't, you know, don't need to worry about it being perfect, or, you know, exactly how it's, you know, like a full-on complete routine. Pick a few exercises, change them up.
Even if they're just body weight squats, you know, get you nice, decently wide stance, and just trying to get those hips all the way down.
Yeah. There's no reason not to. And then if you can build from that, you know, and you're dedicated enough, and you can see, you know, the positive like results from it, then, you know, like you said, actually dedicate perhaps a day where, if you're doing like 4 or 5 days in the gym, take one of those days back and give it to mobility.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I love that, you know? I would totally try that. I mean, 3-day split is like a bit of a juggle at times, but like, I can probably make time for that, you know? And I'd love to see like what some of the potential results could be from that, you know?
Yeah, me too. Because for me, the result would come in just in less pain.
Yeah.
Right? Especially because we're delivery contractors. My knee actually hurts from driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pretty big for the car. I'm surprised that you don't have this problem. But my knee is bent like this.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I have my foot like this, and it keeps going. And my knee starts to really hurt.
On the right side?
Yeah.
I have a bit of knee pain on the left side, but that, like, I did a lot of like construction work, and I was a welder, and I think like I was on my knees on a lot of concrete floors, and like I think it could have come from that, but nonetheless, you know, like I still have that little bit of pain there, and I should be able to address it by strengthening the knees up. So
you know, I totally agree. I think this knee is just hurting because it's just bent like this all day, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to go from like having my foot bent at a funny angle to keeping it straight and stuff. But
and like when I was doing the barbell squats for the first time, like my right foot was actually tweaked. This was actually before I had my back injury.
Yeah.
But I didn't know at the time, but like, you know, Vanessa, you know, the chiropractor, she was saying that my hip is rotated and out of line, and as it's rotated out, it actually has rotated up. So, you know, effectively, like, everything's twisted, and one leg is like slightly longer than the other almost.
Oh, interesting. So, I got to get in to see the chiropractor, man. I got to do it.
You know, like, I've had a really good experience with it, you know. And I think it can be a little pricey in the very first bit, because you have to go and really just work your way back into that alignment. Mm-hmm. But then it basically just becomes maintenance. And I think with, you know, what you're suggesting with the mobility and then like making it a foundational pillar to build from, I'm like really, really excited to see what the incorporation of that could look like.
Yeah, me too.
Life,
I'm not trying to make it too complicated.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a full hour exercise,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
I would like to try and keep it more on the quick side for people. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see. I have an idea of what exercises I want to put in there, but I'm going to do a little bit more digging to see if I can find ones that can complement it.
Yeah. And when you've got something together, I'm sure you might be able to share it with our wonderful followers here.
Yeah, I'll post it on this same YouTube channel. I'll post it and I'll share it I just have to. I'm so bad at recording, man. I just got to get the camera set up, get the good angles, and just do it.
Good angles? You don't need good angles, buddy.
Every angle's a good angle.
That's exactly right.
They call me the Angle Angel.
Angle Angel.
That's right. I just made that up. Nobody
on the
called
fly,
me.
hey? Yeah. I'm going to call you Angle Angel now.
Angle Angel?
Is that what you...
Yeah, Angle Angel.
Angle Angel? Oh.
Yeah. Every angle's a good angle. All right. I think that's it for this episode, buddy.
Man. That's a good one. Yeah.
Thanks again for joining me on the podcast, buddy. I love having you as a co-host.
Love being here. Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully it is valuable and
I hope so.
My experience with people, I'd love to get feedback from people just to kind of see what's on their mind. And
if you have any suggestions or awesome stories about how mobility has affected your life, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Or if you have recommendations for exercises that you would like to see implemented in the free mobility plan, keep them in the comments below. Keep them. Comment them in the comment section below. And if you found this helpful, give it a like, give us a subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, you know what time it is. It's time to shape up.